what are your cultural habits? What are the cultural habits that you have that are suitable for the place where you live, where you work, and where you play? We all have cultural habits, and these cultural habits are the DNA of the background that we have. And these cultural habits are our behavior and beliefs that we always demonstrate in different things that we do. Each one of us in this room, as I see, we represent a unique cultural habits that we have. And these cultural habits and behaviors really come from our background. You know what you eat, what you wear, how you speak. Already you figured out I have an accent, and at the end of this meeting, you should know where I'm coming from. Those are what makes us cultural. This morning, I am going to tell you about hot climate cultures and cold climate cultures. And maybe after understanding what is hot climate culture and what is cold climate culture, you may be able to have a third culture, whatever you make out of it. That would be your own culture. What are hot climate cultures that I want to talk about? I did this many years ago, maybe about 9 years ago, in part of my work at the church. I do mission work, so I'm always with other cultures. So I read a book that was written by Sarah Lernier, and the title of that book is Foreign to Familiar, Hot Climate and Cold Climate Cultures, How People Behave and Their Beliefs. Hot climate cultures are those people who come, one of the distinguishing factors is that they are very relationship based. They are very friendly, they are warm, they always want to be the life of the party. You know, they just get into things. Sometimes these cultures also represent a geographical location we come from. I come from Sierra Leone in West Africa, and that's my home country. So we're warm climate cultures. We are very friendship based, and another characteristics of that is always a culture of inclusion, always getting everybody involved in what you are doing. Also, a hot climate culture are those group of people who, there's lots of inclusion. You always want to get everybody involved. You share your possessions, things you have, and you want to have a good time. Another distinguishing factor about the hot climate culture is that hospitality is a huge thing. When you come to a hot climate culture, people want to share their food, their home, everything that they have. They just want to give it away to you if you've been in any one of these cultures. These are also people, time is of no essence. They are never in a hurry. They may be laid back, you know, they have a watch, but they don't have a time. We have a watch, but we don't have a time. That's what we refer to our hot climate culture. So hospitality is a distinguishing factor, relationship based, and the third aspect of the hot climate culture is that communication is always indirect. People don't want to offend you. They don't want to embarrass you. So you will say, for example, a country that is a hot climate culture that I relate with is people probably from the Middle East, Egypt in particular. So an Egyptian shows up at your house, the indirect communication, do you want a cup of coffee? Oh no, I know. They don't want to hurt you. So you have to actually tell them 3 times. You have to ask them 3 times before they will, or you just offer it to them. Sometimes we will say yes for us in hot climate cultures, but we really don't mean yes or no. So that's hot climate cultures. You know, some Latin American countries, India, I've just mentioned for us from West Africa, people from the Pacific Islands. 26 years ago, my first time in the United States, I live in Alabama. I live in Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
Those are examples of hot climate culture people. So, which culture are you? A hot climate culture? Or the other culture I want us to look at is what we refer to as cold climate culture. Cold climate culture people are very task-oriented. You know, what's the job I need to do? You know, tell me what needs to be done, and I just get to it. I want to get the facts and everything that is necessary. People who will come from a European background, they are hot climate cultures, they just want to get stuff done and they want to do it. Communication is very direct. When I say yes, I say yes. What I mean is what I mean. Just answer me. Don't beat around the bush like a hot climate culture and go all around it. Just tell me what you're thinking about. That's a cold climate culture. I've had many experiences in these areas of hot climate, cold climate in terms of relationship and task-oriented direct communication or indirect communication. For example, one of the things we found out when I first came to this country is that people always wanted us to go and eat outside. Well, with my hot climate culture, I want to eat at your house. I want to get to know you at home. So is it that you don't want me to see your house, so you want to take me to a restaurant? A couple of weeks ago, we had some guests from South Sudan, Uganda, Kenya, and Burundi. But when these guests were coming, everybody think we should just put them in a hotel. So we should be able to see that. We live here in Central Florida, where there is a mix of many cultures. It behoves us, my dear friends, to be able to understand these cultures, to respect a cold climate culture, a hot climate culture, so that our communication will be very effective. So that we will be able to send and receive messages with meaning. So that we'll be able to expand and grow ourselves when we mix with people of other cultures. We all have what in the English language is called, we are very ethnocentric. That means I'm thinking my way is superior than your way. But I think if we understand as great communicators that there's a hot climate and a cold climate and another culture, I will be able to be effectively communicating. Fellow Toastmasters, what is your cross-cultural habit? I hope you'll be able to change your culture and have a third culture. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.